By 13...
Люди здесь суть? Да. Работа ждет.
Moscow's primary means of raising the taxes demanded by the Horde was through trade with nearby Rus towns. But Prince Dmitry would have to keep his traders safe from raids by opportunistic bandits that stalked the countryside. While Moscow's trade was strong, Dmitry could bolster his income if he could locate additional trade partners. Trade routes brought wealth, but safe passage was not a given with bandits stalking the roads.
трудитесь, латницы, будем крататися! Приближайтесь, боязливее! Латницы, готовятся! Готовитесь, латницы!
Готовы, трудитесь, есть.
Дело есть! Дело есть!
Приуготовляйтесь все. Добываю зверя.
Лук готов есть. Ополчение есть.
Increasing Moscow's income required locating additional trade partners. To do so, the Muscovites needed to scout the land in search of new settlers. Trade routes between Rus settlements supported a vibrant economy, which in turn
Слушай наказ, Нов. Приближайтесь, боязливее! Чего делать надо вновь?
Moscow's primary means of raising the taxes demanded by the Horde was through trade with nearby Rus towns.
Построено будет.
But Prince Dmitry would have to keep his traders safe from raids by opportunistic bandits that stalked the countryside.
Начну трудитесь.
Исправляйтесь.
Брань слуг.
Молчите и слушайте.
Яков.
While Moscow's trade was strong, Dmitry could bolster his income
Готове будете.
if he could locate additional trade partners.
Идти надо помалу. Что есть трудного? Будем сражаться!
Дело есть. Радуйся. Начну трудитесь.
Сие мне нравится. А Казиновии суть.
Лук готов есть.
Получаем льсту.
Готов трудитися есть. Слушайте все. Слушай на камрань завет! Будем сражаться! Брань опрежь войне! Чего делать надобно?
Trade routes brought wealth, but safe passage was not a given with bandits stalking the roads.
То буду мяс. Слушай наказ, слушаюся! Стреляю в меня!
Яко делать. Дело сделано есть. Лучник готов есть.
На Казиновии суть. Брань завет! И наказ. Слушайте все. Приближайтесь, боязливее! Брать будет.
Increasing Moscow's income required locating additional trade partners. To do so, the Muscovites needed to scout the land in search of new settlements.
Стрела на...
Готовим?
Рцы яко делать. Стрелец глядеть. Лучник готов есть.
Слушай наказ, Огонь бранные! Готовитесь! Обрез войне! Ватницы, как угодно есть! На казинове суть. Следуй наказам. Слушайте все. Брань за ним! Слушайте все.
As the deadline for payment of tribute approached, Dmitri had to quicken his efforts to collect the necessary taxes.
Брань будет. Брань будет. Будем сражаться!
Есть.
Люди, служите готове.
With tribute now overdue, Dmitri had only a brief window to pay the Mongols.
Брань за ним!
Лук готов. Иду с рёва и мочила.
Rus leaders who failed to meet the Mongols' demands paid a devastating price.
Будем сражаться!
Копейщица напрямик! Копейщица время стоят! Ясно! И уготовляйте копья! Парни, набрать уготовляйтесь!
Слушайте! Следуй наказам!
Похоротай готов есть!
¿Sabes para qué rinde el nuevo?
Gamers all around the world, this is the fourth guide for civs that we will be making. We've done English, French, and Mongol. It's up on my YouTube channel, and also people have posted like a picture kind of build order guides for English and French. You can find it on Reddit, on AoE4 subreddit. But today we're going to do Rus. And after Rus, I'm not sure which one we're gonna do. Maybe we'll do Abbasid. We'll see. Anyway, today I'll be showing you guys a pretty standard for the current meta Rus build. And the build that I'll be showing you is the Rus Boar 4 archer ranges push. You've probably seen it if you watch any streams, if you watch high level tournaments, you've probably seen it. So this is what I'm going to be showing you today. There's a few different ways to play Rus, but in my opinion, this is probably the easiest to best ratio kind of build to do. So I'm playing against AI, so don't pay attention too much to it. I'll be explaining my thought process behind it, what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and when I'm doing. So let's go. First things first, with Rus, you're going to start with a second scout from TC. You're going to put 4 workers on food, and then you're going to make hunting cabin, house, and a lumber camp. So you want to get a hunting cabin in a juicy spot so you cover as many trees as possible so that you get the passive gold. And then you want to build a house and a lumber camp, and those 2 villagers will stay on lumber. Meanwhile, you're going to make 1 scout from TC, and then you're going to rally all the workers until you start feudal on food. So you're going to have a lot of workers on food. Now, one important thing compared to most civs is how you send your scouts with Rus. So most civs, you have 1 scout go a little bit further in the map and 1 go around your base. Now, this is very, very dependent on you and how much APM you have, aka how fast you're playing, and how many scouts you want to make. So the standard for Rus is 3 scouts. If you think you can handle 4, go for 4 scouts to be able to micro and find sheep and deer and wolves. But if you're super beginner, I would say just stick to 2 scouts, try to master that. And when you are good enough with 2 scouts, maybe that's when you should have a 3rd scout and then after a 4th scout. But if you want to stay on 3 scouts, that's fine. It's not a bad thing to do. I sometimes go for 4, sometimes go for 3. So both are good. And the 3rd scout will be coming from a hunting cabin, as well as 4th scout if you decide to go for it. So the moment a hunting cabin finishes, you're going to be making another scout there. So what I like to do personally, and most other high-level players, is 2 first scouts kind of go deep into the enemy territory, and you try to find their deer while picking up wolves and sheep around the map. And then the 3rd/4th scout will go around your base, pick up the sheep, and then take the deer around your base as well. What you can also do is send the 1st scout deep into the enemy territory and just try to get the deer, get whatever you want, whatever you can find basically. And then 2nd and 3rd scout, you can send them around your base to clear stuff. That's fine too. Again, see what works for you. The more APM you have, the faster you are. You can, micro your scouts more. If you don't have enough APM to work with, like I said, start with 2 scouts and go on from there. One thing to note is when you move the scout, or when you shift click, let's say onto the deer, scout needs 2 shots to kill a deer, but because the deer doesn't die instantly, it will actually shoot 3 times. So, and again, if you're fast enough, if you're confident enough, you can shoot the deer twice and then move your scout manually. If you don't have the APM, if you don't have the multitasking, it's okay to just shift Q on the deer and make sure the scout gets all of them. So, whenever you're moving your scout, make sure to pick up any wolves on the way and, just kill the deer, right? And get as many sheep as possible. You can see my 3rd scout is working around my base and picking up as much stuff as I can. And I sent a 4th scout towards the top to clear that side of the map. You'll see my map vision right now, how that works. There's no necessarily right or wrong way of sending your scouts. It's all map dependent. It's how you want to play it dependent. But I would say 1st scout, or at least or first 2 scouts, send them somewhere through the middle and then into the opponent's back base, kind of to either meet or whatever. One thing to note is, very unique thing compared to the other civs, is that you will be just chewing through your food extremely fast. So because of that, you need to make sure that one of your scouts is near your base and actually brings in the sheep. Because what happens to a lot of people is, when I tell them to send the 1st scouts far away from their base, they don't bring any sheep and they run out of food. So make sure to have at least 3 sheep carcass working. And if you don't, one of the scouts that is farther in the map, maybe send them back a little bit sooner to, to make sure that you get the food and you don't run out of food, because that's the worst thing that can happen. Now, another thing to add, this is another early wheelbarrow build. And because you get so much gold from the wolves, deer, and sheep, the moment you have 50 wood after these 3 initial buildings, you're gonna instantly start wheelbarrow. So that's something to note. So now that I've explained the scouting, we're gonna go through the build.
Oye, ma, vienen mis amigos del fútbol.
Preparo unos tocitos al estilo más perrón, como ño, échale a todo sabor, quesito jalapeño pa' que amarres más perrón, con limón, pepino con chamoy, gomita y zanahoria con chilito picosón. Aviéntate unos tocitos con mucho sabor.
¿Y tú? ¿Cómo los haces en tu casa?
Un verdadero campeón nunca abandona la batalla. La precisión, la velocidad y la estrategia lo son absolutamente todo. Pero el tiempo es crucial cuando un solo movimiento define la victoria. Con el Internet de los campeones, siente la diferencia y lleva tu experiencia de juego al siguiente nivel. Cámbiate a Total Play. ¿Y tú? ¿Eres un jugador o un campeón?
Eventually, when you scout the whole map and when you think you picked up all the animals that there are to pick up, what I would suggest doing is getting all 4 scouts and going across the map and harassing the enemy gold. Gold is the only resource you can harass without the TC attacking you, so it's very annoying for the opponent. And you can stop their gold mining, you can force them to pull their scouts back, but then you got 4 scouts versus usually 2 scouts. So that's going to be a very nice trade for you and very, very annoying for the opponent. Whenever you have the next 50 wood, you're going to build a house so that you don't get supply blocked. And now, this is where, again, Rus is much different from other civs. You're going to, or at least this build, you're going to be building your landmark with 6 workers. So, once you build it up with 6 workers, you want to move those to a boar, and this is the boar for archer range build. So once you start the landmark with 6 workers, you will leave 4 workers on food, because that's how many you need to consistently produce workers, and you will send the rest on wood and rally on wood. The next 175 wood you will use to make a wooden fortress, which is going to enable you to get 20% extra wood to this lumber mill, which is very, very important, and you kind of get it you want to get it as early as possible, right? So that you get that extra wood going. Scouts are moving across the map. I'm not going to be actually attacking the AI because it's an AI. So I'll just tell you guys what you're supposed to do. But these scouts should now go and harass the gold a little bit and be annoying. And yeah, I'm just rallying workers, continuing to get as much wood as possible. I didn't kill this one deer pack because I didn't want to get too much gold, because then that wouldn't represent a normal game. So that's why I left this deer pack, if you guys are wondering. And I also run into wolves here that I picked up earlier, and I forgot, and I didn't drag them to my TC because I was talking on the stream, and there they are. So yeah, obviously every wolf you pick up, you wanna preferably drag it to your TC. But again, if you don't have the speed, if you're not quite confident, you can just kill wolves on the map with your scouts. If you're newer to Rus or just newer player in general, and that way workers are levitating as they do. So once the landmark finishes, you're gonna send 6 of those, and I would suggest if you have enough food. So this is an important part. If you have like 2-3 workers queued up and like 50 food, you can take the 2 workers from food as well for a total of 8 and go to the boar. If you're newer, I would suggest just keeping 4 here on food, pulling 2 more from wood, and going to the boar. And I'm going to show you how to pull the boar correctly so it doesn't kill your workers and you don't have a clown fiesta where you lose villagers. So, first thing to note is the boar will most of the time be close to some wood, okay? So I don't want to pull it here and kill it because I'm going to make a hunting cabin. So if you pull it like here, then you can build a hunting cabin and gain a little bit of gold from these trees. So if the boar was, let's say, here, I would pull it maybe around here. So once I kill it, I can build a hunting cabin here and get gold from both of these tree lines. So that's something to note, and it will give you quite a bit of gold over time. So it is an important thing to do. So here we go. Boar pulled. you want the boar to get to your scout in melee range, and then you want to manually click your workers around here and then attack the boar. If I attack the boar now, the villagers that are away will attack with arrows, which does no damage. You want them to attack in melee, because that's what does the damage. And again, I'm using one scout here. If you're, potato, you can use a couple of scouts, but when your scout gets low, just move it away so it doesn't die, because the boar will kill it. Now, if you look back in my base, I got the wooden fortress, I got 11 workers and food, and them to attack in melee, because that's what does the damage. And again, I'm using one scout here.
Detrás del velo están las tierras de las sombras, donde cada alma tiene su lugar.
World of Warcraft, Shadowlands.
Here, if you're, potato, you can use a couple of scouts, but when your scout gets low, just move it away so it doesn't die, because the boar will kill it. Now, if you look back in my base, I got the wooden fortress, I got 11 workers and food, and once you start gathering from the boar, so once, you have your hunting cabin and a tower here, then you can move these workers from food onto the wood, because the boar gathering is so insane that you will have enough food with 8 workers for a while, so you won't need more. Now, once I start gathering food from the boar, I like to get double broadaxe, because you will have between 18 and 20 workers on woodline, and getting this upgrade as early as possible is going to be really, really good for you, and you will have that axe as gold for now, so you can use it. So here we go. I'm throwing down a hunting cabin. Again, I'm not throwing it down here so I don't destroy these trees. I'm throwing down the wooden fortress, and you want to rush the wooden fortress if the enemy is attacking. So if the enemy is like attacking with spears now, or a horseman or knight, you want to build a wooden fortress with 8 workers instantly. But if there's no danger, just build it with 2 workers, 2-3 workers on hunting cabin, and put the rest on the board, or just build with 8. It doesn't matter. This is like min-maxing as much as you can. So once that is established, it goes up, and then you have 8 workers on the board. 8 workers is the maximum amount of workers that you can send on a board, because 9th worker cannot physically fit in around the board to gather. So that's something to note. Back in my base, I'm going to be starting this in a second, and I'm going to be starting stables as well. There's also a variation of the build, by the way, where you go stables first and then you go for the boar. I personally like to go this way. It's a little bit, it's not necessarily riskier. You just get an earlier boar, and you start pumping your economy a lot quicker. Make sure to remember your lumber camps, at least one or no space between the lumber camps, and then make a new one to make sure you get the most economy possible. Broadaxe is coming, and the knight will be coming soon. One thing to note, you do not gather gold with this build, okay? The way you're going to be getting gold for your upgrades and for knights is by selling wood, because you're going to have 20 workers on wood, you're going to have wooden fortress bonus, and you're going to have broadaxe. You're going to be bringing so much wood that you can just use this landmark to trade 100 wood. for 150 gold, and that's a knight and a half, or 1 upgrade from a blacksmith and a little bit extra carrying over. Plus you're gonna have passive gold from the hunting cabins, so that's really nice as well. You know, this one, not the juiciest one, only 7 gold per minute, but most of the time, like I said, Boar is near an actual wood line, so you'll get quite a bit of gold from that too. And whenever you get attacked, you just pop your workers into the wooden fortress. Once the danger is over, you move them out. So, from here on out, what you want to do is you build a knight, and you kind of assess the situation. Do you want to, you know, is your opponent attacking you? You send them the knights to defend you here, right? If the opponent is playing passive, you go and you harass their gold villagers, their food villagers, you try to kill their scouts, deny them the scouting, whatever else, but you try to consistently produce scouts, or knights, sorry. From here on out, every time you have 150 wood, I use 2 workers here, it's a mistake. You will use 1 worker to make an archer range for a total of 4 archer ranges, plus you will build a blacksmith. So you'll see me here, pop down the archer ranges. I'm still rallying onto the wood, by the way. I only got 8 on food. And once you reach 18 on wood, you're gonna put more workers on food, up to like 14 or 15 is a good number. So AI actually attacks me with Dark Age spears. I just, you know, put workers in the wooden tower so they die. But, you know, that was weird. That's not going to happen in your games. I hope so. And I'm going to add a 4th archery range. Oh, it's right here, archer range. And I'm going to add a blacksmith. So this is the point where you used up so much wood for production, and this is where you start pumping out units as much as you possibly can. So I currently have 3 workers building and 15 on wood, up to 18, like I said. And then you're going to be rallying onto these sheep up to like 13, 14, 15 workers is fine. And then you're going to rally back to the wood. So what is the plan now? Well, if you're harassing with knights or trying to do some damage, you're kind of setting yourself up for the main attack. You're going to be constantly producing archers. You're going to be producing knights as well. And whenever you need gold for knights or for upgrades, you will sell